Hi guys, Steve Bannister with Good Karma Coffee. Here's the video probably a number of you have been waiting for, and that's trying to compare all those 5 pour-overs that I've been doing lately. So here's the 2 that I've done. This is the Chemex and the V60, the 2 V-shaped ones I should say, and here's 3 of the flat bottom ones, the Espro, the Fellow, Stag, and the Kalita. Just did that one recently. So I figured I'd talk a little bit about them and emphasize more on what a beginner pour-over person might be interested in doing. But before I get into any of these at all, the very first thing, the most important thing if you want to up your coffee game is to get a good burr grinder for sure. And fresh roasted coffee. Those are the 2. That's key. Let me just push these away and go down through them. There's so many different ways you can compare. In fact, what I'm going to do after this is do up a comparison sheet so you can easily compare one to the other. So here are my 2 V-shaped pour-overs. These are, I think, more the challenging ones. Although the thing about this one here, I put my Chemex aside, is that this is a Hario V60, by the way. I did that one right there. You notice that it's got a bit of a hole in it, right? So the bigger the hole is, the more challenging it is to pour. But of course, this comes at an amazing price. I get the kit here for $35, everything included. So that's where it's hard not to refuse it. But this one here, I wouldn't necessarily recommend if you just want to start and you don't have a pour-over kettle. You can do it, but you had to be very careful in what you do. The V-shapes are definitely challenging, like I said. Similar, not that I don't love it. I'm just thinking about strictly beginners, right? Similar with the Chemex. The Chemex is an absolute classic. But once again, check that out. Look at that gaping hole. That's a sure sign of you've got to be careful about what you're doing here, right? The filter is a little different, by the way, from the V60 filter. This is very thick, gives you a nice clean taste. Now, it took me quite a while to get used to this, and once again, a pour-over kettle, a gooseneck kettle, definitely helps. It's not something I'd recommend for just a very beginner. The V60 and the Chemex, great for down the road, but if you're really a beginner, they're a bit of a challenge. Now, this is not impossible, you just got to be careful what you're doing. So those are the V-shaped ones, right? There's other V-shaped ones out there. I can go on and on and on. These are just the 2 that I have, for sure. Now, what about the flat bottom ones? Well, let me just talk about this one here. This is the Kalita. You'll see right here, right? There's the filter. There you have right here. And you don't have the 1 hole, you have 3 holes. Believe it or not, it's not as easy as you may think. I mean, Kalita, I have a glass one. The metal ones are very popular. There's all different types. There's also a lovely Kalita server, by the way. But you got to be careful on this. It is a little deceiving. Even though it's a flat bottom one, you can clog up on you if you're not careful. And you'll notice I was talking a bit about that during my pour over with the Kalita. So even though it's flat bottom, you'd think it's a piece of cake. It's something you got to watch out for. Not something I'd say go get it right away if you want to get into pour overs. Well, I guess what does that leave? Well, that leaves my Fellow Stag XF one and my Espro. Let me just look at the Stag XF. Okay, here we go. This is the big long filter. Now there's 2 of these, by the way. They look exactly the same. The only difference is one is about half the size. Now check out that. See? More of a complex hole system, which is, now, let me just compare the difference. One big gaping hole and that right there, right? This tells you that for beginners, you don't have to be too concerned about the pouring, right? So this one pops in here, and I've got this gorgeous, I've got a nice smoky, I can't believe what Fellow does. I'm going to do a separate video on Fellow because they just, the way they marry design and function, it's incredible. So this one here, I forgot to mention too, there's a nice little rubber thing here. So you don't have to have a server, but you can put that right onto your mug, right? Anyway, it pops on right here. So what else comes with this, which is a bit of a neat add-on, this is very convenient, by the way, right? So easy just to pop in your grounds. And this right here is where you can put your server when your dripper when you're finished. But I don't know if I mentioned this on my other video. Let's see if you can see that. There's 2 holes here. I don't know if you can see. There's 2 holes, 1 and 2. 2 dots, not 2 holes. You can actually get away without using a scale if you just measure up to 1 dot, and if you happen to have a server and there's a dot, right? So if you measured up the 1 dot on this, poured it into your Stag dripper, and then just kept pouring water until the dot. So that's quite convenient there. This is quite nice. Now, I don't remember the exact price. It is a little bit pricier, but that fellow does tend to be a bit pricier. I'll definitely say that, but you definitely get what you pay for. This is something that you could very easily use for a beginner. I actually have some of these in stock for anyone locally, by the way. Which brings me not back, to the last one, the Espro, which is the newest one that I picked up, right? This one right here, very similar in the filter, by the way. You know, we have the rib filters. And if you look carefully, right, we're not talking about 1 gaping hole, we're talking about 1,502 holes, believe it or not. Very nice. It's got this rubber part for holding on to it. This is actually a fellow tasting glass. I don't think maybe Espro has come out with a server. I don't know. I'm not sure if they have or not. Anyway, both these right here, about 2 minutes pour down. Unbelievable. This one over here, I believe that worked out the same amount of coffee or water. I think this was closer to 3.5. Same with the other 2. These are ultra fast, right? The other thing about the Espro, pop it in, away to go. And as I mentioned, you don't have to worry as much about the pouring. But there's another unique feature, and I didn't talk about it, I don't think, when I was in the pour over. I'm going to see if you can see right here. Once again, I don't know if you can. Anyway, there's a line there. You can actually, there's a dot here, actually put in your coffee grounds and without a filter and go ahead and pour over the coffee. I'm going to have to do that one for another video and see what it works out like. It's almost like it'll probably give you a lot more full-body taste depending also on the type of bean you have. But that's definitely a feature there. The key thing here is between the 2, this is not as pricey as this one here. These are almost directly matched, and I think I might have one of these in stock, I'm not sure. But the only reason that I probably picked this one over this one is simply because of the price. I mean, both of them are quite nice. So, I guess there you have it. We have all of these filters, all of these pour-overs that I've done right here. And between all of them, for a beginner, and don't forget, I definitely would say get a good burr grinder and use fresh roasted coffee. But if you want to get into it, I'd recommend the Espro Bloom pour-over. It's definitely what I go to. Sometimes when I'm in a bit of a rush and I want to grab a quick cup, if I come back and it's coffee time and 2 minutes, I'm done. All of these, by the way, no matter what you pick or no matter what you have, I'd be more than happy to help you out with the pour-overs. I'm going to be building my recipes. In fact, I do have a recipe all done up with pictures and everything for the V60. Be more than happy to send it out your way if you have any challenges, because it does take a bit of practice depending on whether you want to get up to something Chemex ways. You know, I find I find once people trying to get a little frustrated, you know, it can be that way, and it was that way. I've been doing pour-overs now. Oh, I must be doing a couple pour-overs a day, different pour-overs. I've been doing it for 3 or 4 years now straight. So I've definitely got the time, more so than most of you guys out there who may be doing a weekend or you don't have the time. So more than happy to help anyone out with whatever pour you're interested in. So that's it for the 5 pour-overs. I think what I'm going to do now is probably get into other things like talking about gooseneck kettles and so on if you're interested. So that's it for these, and take care.